Someone's watching an old video. So.
It's not me. I have headphones on.
No, I am playing a game too.
But that's John's voice.
Someone's playing.
Someone's playing an old stream.
Oh. Yeah, from last week.
It's just not I.
It's okay.
I think it's Andrew.
Me.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not me.
I don't think it's me.
What's going on?
What's this?
There's white stuff in the air.
There's audio everywhere.
Someone want to check if the stream if everything's going good.
I mean, I haven't seen you on. Oh, now you're live.
Let's see.
Live, but I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
It sounds good. Everything's golden. The Villains Talk Show with C4, Sarah Vike, Blamaniac, Sir Jeremy, Keaden.
The person that can't speak words properly.
You know what?
I do know things. I know some things. Like how to say our names properly.
I don't either.
I think you're just being a little passive aggressive now.
I'm genuinely being aggressive, making fun of you.
But you're doing it passively.
No, I'm doing it pretty openly, like you specifically, sir.
So you're being very aggressive. I feel this aggressive air. I don't know why.
But I'm doing it pretty openly.
Andrew just gives off that kind of aggressive air to begin with.
Aggressive air, yeah.
I mean, I
call that hot gas sometimes, when I like that. When I shake my pants or something like that,
That makes sense too.
Of course.
It happens sometimes, man.
Well,
so can't be judgmental.
Today's topic is one that I've been trying to avoid, but it's kind of hard to. It's just the American dumpster fire. Being a Canadian, being all of us Canadians.
Prom night dumpster baby.
We really don't have to. We really just get to watch from afar as the dumpster fire burns. And usually it's fun, and I try to stay out of that dumpster fire because for some reason half our country thinks that they are part of America, which
they really
it's really ridiculous. So yeah, this is the one time I will allow this and talk about the dumpster fire that is the country that is south of us. What we call them up here is South Canadians. We don't like to.
That makes me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit.
That's you know what? That's what we're gonna change the name. That's what they're gonna be. So it makes me feel at least better.
It makes me want to puke a little bit when you say that.
We're gonna say the South Canadian dumpster fire. South Canada.
Stop.
South.
It's making me it makes me want to puke every time you say it.
South.
Save the South Canada dumpster fire. Those down Southern Canadians.
What about the ones to the east?
I mean, I don't want to talk about Eastern Canada, but
so I don't know if
I mean, we'd have a personal opinion on that one.
Where do we start? Literally with South Canada.
Let's find out.
I mean, God.
Whatever the third thought to your head is.
The third thought. That's a good one. Oh, that's the first one. That's the second one. How? How, like, as I watch a lot of sports. Okay. I watch a lot of sports, and the thing about football athletes that I always love is in order to be in NFL or be a professional football athlete, you actually have to graduate from university. I mean, they walk you the whole way. But what I don't get is when you have a professional athlete who has done his career, he's like 40 years old, he has like a PhD in something because they all have PhDs. And it's not some bullshit PhD either. Like some of them are actually like surgeons or like you actually get a full education. But I listen to them talk and they talk like they're 10 years old. And it blows my mind. That's the third thing that runs to my head. Whenever I watch, and it's not even like, it's all of them. All of them. It's like, I understand when it's a sports player like NHL because you don't go to university and you like go right out of high school, or like same with MLB, like there's no program to like go to school. So I understand if they only had like half a high school education and was just good sport and just, just made money off that, because that, that's a pass, because I guess I hold education to a certain level, but it's just, you're that highly educated and you talk like you're 10 years old.
You have to bring into consideration head injuries as well. When you're talking about the sports player balls.
Valid point, especially football. Valid point.
Mm-hmm.
With all those sports ball injuries.
Sports ball industries. Sports ball.
Ooh, go sports puck.
Hey, South Canadians love sports ball.
They do. They like multiple sports balls.
They do. I also like South Canadian sports
They like multiple sports balls in their mouth.
Well, yes, that is. There's a
Some
whole
of them
movement.
Do.
I don't know. I don't have much to say on this stuff. I agree with you.
I'm going to be honest, I don't either.
Oh,
I'm not a fan of South Canadian sports ball.
what I am a fan of, which has become a sport over the last 5 years, is watching South Canadian politics just for fun. Like watching stupid rallies, or like just like as a politician, as a guy who has an actual political science degree, like it's so surreal the last 4 years and how funny it's been. You know what I mean? Like, so many people are doom and gloom, which, I mean, there's a case for, but at the same time, like, do you understand, like, how surreal politics have been?
I mean,
Like,
you mean it's either a turd sandwich or a giant douche, right?
no.
That's part taught me that.
It used to be. That's the thing. Everywhere else in the world,
I think it still is. I'm going to be honest right now.
But the turd sandwich is...
It depends on your point of view, but it's still pretty apt.
But like here's the thing about politicians, though. The worst part about being a politician, and you learn this in school, is
thinks you're dirty.
No, it's the elections. Once you're in, you're usually a well-educated, smart person that just had to literally fight in the trenches just to get your job. It's pretty cutthroat in that sense. But like most politicians, once they enter actual politics and they don't have to be in the spotlight, they don't. Like, you really, the old rule for being a good politician was you're only in the spotlight during elections. That's how you know you're a good politician. But like,
that's questionable. But
historically, like if you look at especially in Canada and South Canada politics.
I mean, if I've never heard of my politician at the point of when I'm supposed to be voting for this guy, I'm probably not going to vote for him because I don't know who the fuck he is.
Yeah, there is definitely something to be said about that. But
if you don't have a name and you're trying to make a name for yourself, then like, why the fuck are you out here?
But at the same time, a good politician just does their work, right? Like, because it's a lot of
that's anything and everything, though, in any real regard, if you think about it.
But do you want the politician who every time they do something good champions themselves? Or do you want the politician that does the same amount of good, but, is humble?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you right now, you want the humble one.
No, you're right. But at the same time, like, being that person still comes with a reputation of sorts. Right? People still are going to know who you are. People are still going to talk to you. It's not about... Yeah, as a good politician, you shouldn't be the one talking about how great you are.
This is
Other
where
people should be.
But this is where, like, this is actually like taught in politics. Like,
I mean, that's nice, but I'm just paying attention to things in general.
We're like most, but you're right. But it goes to it's why there's a lot of people who call politicians two-faced, because you really have to be. It's part of politics.
That makes it less worthwhile to vote for that person in the long run, right?
But
someone who's pretty straight and narrow.
But that
sounds a little more interesting to vote on.
That all circles back to your original point. It's always between a giant douche and a turd sandwich, and you're right. Like, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, with that established,
it's like the idea of ethical billionaires. You know, like having a non douche canoe politician. It's a unicorn that's unlikely to happen. And when they do, they get shot like JFK.
Well, I argue that Bill Gates was a. I mean, how much money? How much money did him and Martha Gates donate to different charities? They just make charities. They have I don't want to just guess. I'm just.
It depends on the level of what the charity's for, who it's going to.
You have to keep in mind though with charities as well.
It comes with the tax.
It does.
But it's not like
charities aren't exactly.
And most of the time,
a bad thing, but it's not exactly.
If you actually look at it, billionaires usually donate to the charities that they have started or funded to begin with, or all that.
I'm looking it up. So
it's not a bad thing to support charities. It's just it depends on the who, the how, and what kind of charity. There's context to it, and that context is important.
The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they have given of their personal wealth $46.8 billion since they made it in 2010. They create vaccines. They help with epidemic preparedness. They give food. And you never hear about fucking when Steve Jobs was alive, him doing that shit. Or even Elon Musk. When have you ever heard of him fucking donating $1 billion to a foundation?
It still depends on the foundation, but you're right.
But I'm also picking out the 1% of the 1%. You're generally right, but there is an example in modern society that still exists, and that's Bill Gates, and bless his heart for being so nice to be able to just look at his wealth and saying with his wife that they'll never spend it ever, so might as well give it back. But that makes me disgusted with people who don't like Steve Jobs. That's why I don't like Apple products at all.
That's for a completely different reason.
Well, I still maintain that he would, if he had somehow beaten cancer, he would have been the first ever true supervillain of the planet.
Isn't that
Bezos is working on that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Bezos.
Well, yeah, now it's Bezos.
Or Musk.
No. Musk. Everyone knows Musk is Iron Man. He's waiting for Bezos to bloom into a supervillain so he can walk out with his armored suit of Iron Man and be like, "What? I just made this now. I wasn't ready for this for years."
Exactly. Yeah.
Why do you think he's selling not a flamethrower? Or he was, anyways.
Yeah, those are limited edition. Yeah.
That's so sad.
I would have jumped on those.
What? High density particle cannons? What do you mean I just invented? Yeah, I just invented it now. What do you mean I have documents that says I've had it for the last 5 years and I've been propping up.
It's been around since early 2000s.
Oh, see, that sounds more like Elon Musk. He has a whole super suit ready, and he's just looking at different billionaires. He's like, "Come on, do it."
I find it hard to really.
Which one are you gonna be the Joker to my Batman?
I find it hard to put a lot of faith in some of the bigger corporations that.
Why is that?
That is also true, though.
Yeah.
What makes you so adverse to the corporation?
I'm not adverse to it, but at the same time, not the corporation, but bigger corporations are not really AFD specific.
Multinational conglomerate corporations.
But a number of the multinational ones.
Are you saying you're against Disney?
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
But I mean, what bigger companies are there than Disney,
You're making me try to put a lot of
Google,
specific needs on it when I'm explicitly trying to be very vague about it.
Well, that's the point. That's the whole point of a talk show.
I mean, there's certain things you can and can't say on a podcast, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
There are certain things you can't say.
Either way,
but you can reword it so it can.
It's hard to put a lot of faith in those kind of establishments because they take a lot of time to not do a lot of that. There's few that do, but not a lot because some are recognize the importance of saving face to the public.
One other thing that I just got back onto the topic of Elon Musk. When they were doing the Dragon X launch back in April or May or whenever it was.
Yeah.
They were like, I don't actually remember, but it was something about how he actually paid almost fully for that rocket himself and had tested it multiple different times just to try and get NASA back in shape.
That launched in May 30th. Dragon SpaceX. God damn. Just pull out the super suit and show us you have it, Elon.
I mean,
it's already has.
He does have a brain implant.
He already has.
I will never get brain implants. I don't care how crazy South Canadians become.
I would get certain physical augmentations, but nothing surgical or organ.
Nothing in the brain.
Nothing heavy organ based.
Are you sure? I could see Andrew become pure synoptic.
You mean he isn't already?
I would never do that.
You sure? I could see with like a cybernetic arm.
There's literally zero reason for
augmented chips in your head. You could be like.
There's zero reason for me to do that.
I could see it.
I could see it too, right?
Zero purpose. I'd see zero purpose for it.
Well, so you could be controlled by all the corporations.
Right? I know that's what you want to do, but that's okay. Right? I'd get maybe like I said, skin tissue augmentations or things like that, but nothing organ based.
See, there you go. See,
I would cut off a hand for a cool organ or a cool
organ. I cut off my hand. I'll have a heart there, guys.
I'd
I'd take a heart in my hand.
Yeah, that sounds pretty romantic.
Wear your heart on your sleeve.
That sounds pretty romantic, I'm sure.
And if you don't have a sleeve, you have a heart.
Yes.
Anyways.
Yes. Anyways. Yeah, no. I would see you as the first one to take any kind of synthetic upgrade, though. Robotic Andrew.
Depends on what kind.
Like full body augment, so like your head's in like a jar, like attached to a full mechanical body.
No, but
see that.
Like a big spidery one.
Why would I get that for?
So you can lord your dominance over everyone. Then you don't have to be passive aggressive anymore.
But I don't have dominance to lord over anyone, nor the reason to lord anything. I'm literally just a random person like anybody else. So what is there to lord over?
Look.
My averageness of being a human being.
Andrew, when Elon Musk becomes the great ruler of the entire planet.
Look, I have a brain, guys. So do you guys, but mine's in a jar, so I'm so much cooler than you guys.
I'm just saying,
I don't break it with a hammer.
When great Elon Musk takes over the planet, you can bow to him and become his first.
Your ideas are so full of so much bullshit, John.
I don't know, you put your brain in a jar, one day they put it in a mech suit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. I can be like that. Okay.
There's no hole in there.
Literally zero purpose. Literally zero purpose.
What are you talking about?
For me to do any of it.
You could like remove the canister of your brain and put it in different suits. And then all of a sudden,
what would be the point?
Well, the
You're
point.
doing the yellow one today, not the red one.
The point would be examples of things I could do. I don't care about the things that I could do. That's not the point.
The point would be to be the first ever true. You would be beyond a cyborg at that point. You would literally be. What's the word for it?
Man, I think you're confusing me with my character.
A mech?
A mech? No, he wouldn't be a mech because mech is fully automated.
He'd be the brain inside of the body.
That's true. He would. Okay. I'll look it up though. I don't think it's actually a mech.
I think that's the word you're looking for. Is cyborg.
Am I not already that to begin with?
I mean, I'm just talking about you in real life, Baro. Then you could do all the cooking.
At the same time, I'm not separate from my brain.
Imagine being able. Okay, imagine
that. That's how I see Andrew's body.
Remember? Oh, it was such a shitty movie too. There was a movie called Surrogate, and I've always thought about that being able to like, or no, they did it better in a fucking Netflix show.
I have no reason to extend my body life.
The stacks, like where like you have your entire body inserted to the back of your neck or your entire life.
Oh, yeah. Altered carbon.
Bam! That's it.
The only thing I would maybe seek would be like uploading memories, but like I have no reason to preserve myself in any way. There's no point.
So what if you woke up tomorrow and found out you were in the Matrix?
There's nothing to preserve. I already know that, John.
That you're in the Matrix?
Of sorts.
What reality is to begin with?
That's kind of what I mean. Matter of perspective.
Well, no, you're either in the Matrix being used as a battery, as a really inefficient battery by a machine, or you don't.
I mean,
a super inefficient battery.
It could be true.
I mean, you're not wrong. He would be a super inefficient battery, but still.
I mean, people live like that.
Are you doing my battery usefulness?
Unless they feed off.
I saw them all the way in Calgary all the time on the train. They are useless batteries. There's things that feed on that shit all the time.
Unless it feeds off passive aggressive energy. Then they're like.
I mean, it feeds off negative.
He's a nuclear reactor.
Exactly. We're just figments of your robotic imagination.
Kind of why I had to get away from that city.
We're not real at all.
So much.
And Andrew's the only real one.
Trainers there.
No, that's not how the Matrix works. It's we're all sharing the same fucking experience, stuck in the same machine, just like they are in that. It's just if you were to get out, you'd maybe be spit out in a different pod.
I mean, that's
essentially.
Pretty much. and then there's.
I feel we're sharing a shared creation.
Then there's an old guy who sits in a chair and watches everyone and masturbates. Sorry,
that's you, John. I already know that.
I mean, I wish I had a screen.
You're the vis-a-vis guy?
Yeah.
The vis-a-vis guy.
I don't see it.
I do.
Oh.
You seem to be the only one who could do that job.
No. I'd get so bored. So bored so quick.
Oh, I'm bored. Oh, I'm going to rub one out.
Oh, how South Park has dominated our lives for so long. Another product of South Canada.
Yeah.
Canadians made South Park. What do you mean?
Yeah, South Canadians. Southern Canadians.
I'm pretty sure they were Northern Canadians. like 100% sure.
But yeah. Just to kind of bring everything back. Fucking, does anyone, I mean, I don't know how much you guys actually paid attention, but do you guys remember like the Bush era?
Not really.
Kind of, but not really.
Well, I mean, I grew up, maybe Jeremy can help, but like, remember going on Newgrounds and E-Bombs World and from like 2002 until 2007-8, every single Flash game or every single thing was something about the war on terror or how stupid George Bush was. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. It was either one or the other. And that was seen as a circus. But that was nothing if you really think about it. That was just, I mean, at the time, it was seen as a dividing point in America, or sorry, South Canada. Sorry.
Speaking of South Canada, South Park is a South Canadian production.
Yes, it is.
I had to double check.
But I guess what I'm trying to get at is it's funny because there was attack on both sides all the time. Like it even reflected in South Park. Like both views were seen as valid, especially when you looked at what was that thing that Michael Moore made? That fucking Michael Moore video where he said it was all fake. Fahrenheit
6 degrees of separation.
No, wasn't it called
Fahrenheit 9/11?
Was it really actually called that? I thought it was called something else.
I'm pretty sure it was called if it was that Michael Moore movie.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was called Fahrenheit 9/11.
And I mean, like, that was a huge criticism on the government at the time, saying they let this happen. And I mean, that was seen as hyper political, like to the point where it was seen as a conspiracy theory and blah blah blah. But you could take either side, and it wasn't as daunting to be like, oh no, I believe this or this, because you could put out facts and people wouldn't call you a fucking idiot or want to burn you at a stake. Where now, it's even up here in real Canada, like you have to be careful all the time about what you say, because if you don't have all the facts behind you, someone who has just a little bit more than you do is just going to trample you on either side of the board. And it's ridiculous. And it's why I understand a lot of people stay out of politics now. Because like
if you're seek to respond instead of inform.
Exactly. That's actually such a good way to put it.
That's yeah.
You just want to have a voice and feel loud instead of actually teaching anybody.
It's so true. And it's like, and when you do something that makes people look at themselves, like you do something or you say something that's able to give someone pause to look at themselves, 99% of the time they just stand there and speechless.
Yeah, it takes a lot of introspection, and they can't even figure it out sometimes.
Yep.
And they're like, well, fuck you, and then they just walk away.
Exactly. And it's fucking ridiculous, but like, and I remember like there was some, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think the Obama period, because it was a really good period for South Canadian history, I think it kind of lulled us out of that. And because of how hyper aggressive our society has become, especially when in terms of information and information sharing over the last like now 12, 15 years, it just, and I mean, it just blew out of proportion.
I think it came with a lot of like Facebook stuff too, with like misinformation and cracking down, that kind of stuff.
As part of it as well.
Yeah, it's not things, but yeah, that whole mindset of like shutting down false information instead of having to actually learn about it. People now, just because they think they have something in their hands at the ready, they think it's immediately true.
Mm.
Actually take the time to look for it and actually understand what they're talking about. So you have people that are apparently conspiracy theory experts and enthusiasts, and they just kind of talk out their ass and talk like they know what they're talking about, instead of actually understanding the whole thing and going through proper channels and sources to understand the research and the information that they're talking about in general.
You're dead on. Like, you're absolutely right. And it makes it so, like I said earlier, it makes it so daunting. If I want to stay in my political circles and I still want to stay active and stay as on the fence as I try to be, because I try not to, like, I have my own personal views and beliefs, but whenever I talk to people about politics, I try to remain as on the fence as possible, because I it's not that I want to be swayed. I've always had a personal belief, if I can defend something I don't believe in, the more I'm able to ingrain why I don't believe in it. As weird as that seems, right? Like if I defend something that like, oh, how do I name something that if I don't like pizza, but every time I go to a debate or talk to people, I defend pizza. To me, that deepens my understanding of the topic. And so I can basically validate my hate better.
Which makes perfect sense.
I mean, that sounds complicated as fuck to some degree.
But at the same time, it's why I stay on the fence. It's why I try to remain neutral. But it's so hard. Yeah. It's why I don't go on social media anymore. It's why I don't.
From my part, like on the similar kind of like point of view, for me, what I try to do with that is also very similar. I try to stay like in a neutral stance and take back. Like I listen to a lot of things what a lot of people have to say, but I don't often speak my mind or my opinion about certain things because I find it's better to listen and learn about what things and people have to say, and then speak about the things with people who are interested in either what you have to say or the topics you're offering to teach them about. Because a lot of times your words just end up becoming wasted on those who only wish to be the loudest one in the room.
Here's doing crazy shit. No, and I agree. The only problem is that you don't want to end up building an echo chamber, which is it's been a term that's been tossed around so much over the last 5 years, but it's such a crucial way to keep growing. Like if you keep and if in case you don't know what an echo chamber is, it's basically surrounding yourself around people who keep saying exactly what you're saying in a slightly different way and with no opposing view.
Yeah.
And so eventually you think that is true or that is law or that is understood to be what society should be, when even if your echo chamber is small, it just reinforces you without giving you any room to grow.
Sure. I find taking on the mindset of needing an echo chamber tends to make it a source of like you're dependent on others for opinions and things, when like for me I tend to not do that because I wouldn't say I have an echo chamber of sorts, because all of my friends, the people around me, tend to have very degrees of different opinions and different mindsets, and a lot of the ones that I have in my mind are very extremely different, and I tend to not talk about it too much myself or put that at forefront in thought process unless I'm with people that can understand why I'm explaining those concepts and those various ideas without having the reaction of, well, no, you're wrong, and I need to be louder than you, instead of understanding the topic and the reason of why I'm explaining it.
And it's why I like having you on the show, actually. It's, to be honest, because you have very, very different values and opinions from me. But we still have civil conversations, even though sometimes I push your buttons because I know how. It's you and I both know it's all in good fun, but we're still able to have conversations about differing opinions, and it's not lighting a fire beneath us both. Instead, it encourages both more to be more knowledgeable about what we're talking about. And that's the same with anyone in the talk show, but it's degraded in South Canada so much that I don't understand how that middle ground is gone. Like, at what point do you stop having a conversation and do exactly what you said, which is just screaming at someone until they either listen to you or they walk away?
Yeah, it doesn't solve anything other than establishing a reaction in a relationship of either love or hate, instead of having mutual respect for each other and a differences of opinions.
But at the same time, I mean, I'll throw this out there. Like, we know from being regular Canadians that when we watch South Canadian media, that's a culture they've built, but it wasn't a culture they always had. I don't know if Sir Jeremy can back me up on this, but if you remember watching South Canada media over the years, like they definitely, like, everyone always knew Fox News was for the rednecks, but other than that, like, you'd watch news media and even satirical media, it always hit both sides. Like, I still remember the end of the Clinton era where like every joke was against Bill Clinton, every single one. And then when Bush came, it took a couple of years, but eventually and it just, I don't know at what point that bridge broke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a hard one to tell because look from the outside looking in to some degree.
I'd probably say during Obama when they actually respected their president, and it was like shameful to make fun of him.
You know, I was thinking that, but then I have to think about his acceptance, or his, like, when he won the second time. Remember his the presidential speech where he had Key come and do the speech for him?
Yeah.
So, like, it's not that he wasn't able to poke fun at himself.
No, but at that time he was the hip hop cool president, right?
But I mean, you could still argue that there was media that wasn't Fox that was still attacking him. Like, there was still.
I mean, he won a peace award, a Nobel Peace Prize
Before
for what?
For being elected. I remember because he got the office. That was impressive. And I mean,
promises of peace and
but, like,
promises of shutting down Guantanamo, but
I remember
Guantanamo's still running.
Like,
yeah,
one of my favorite shows to watch is Last Week Tonight, and there was a piece that John Oliver did where he, near the end of Obama's tenure, where he went after Obama and talked about all the promises that he didn't do, and like how he walked his word back on stuff. He was the first president to use drones and used more drones. He had, he had he had a huge assassination list with drones, and people just under the rug because he's an American president. Who cares?
That's not true. Because now they're all pointing that same shit at Trump, and it's like he's not as guilty as some of the past presidents are.
But at the same time,
for those specific things.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Trump, like, you can't. Ronald Reagan was an actor. He got elected. He became the Republican president in the 80s. But Reagan, once he got in, because he knew he didn't know anything, spent a lot of his first year and a half, doing not much and learning. And he became a great president. He's considered one of America's greatest presidents. Sorry, South Canada. But it's like Trump just decided he didn't want to learn. I remember that night, actually. I remember watching him come on stage and I remember just looking at him and saying to my roommate at the time, like, is it just me? Or does it look like he's as shocked as everyone else? And yeah, exactly. Right? Like, I 100% firmly believe he thought he was going to lose. And he probably had his whole failure speech ready. And so when he knew that he was going to win, I bet you as soon as he got alone, he sat back in his chair and said, "Oh, fuck. Well, how hard can this be? I've run multinational giant businesses that mostly fail. I think this could be fun."
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, he successfully bullied our country, which just hurts. It just hurts.
Yeah.
He couldn't bully Mexico, but he could bully Canada, no problem. Although I do feel safe with all those wonderful nuclear missiles sitting in North Dakota. I cannot tell you how safe I feel. But yeah, I've always wondered that. What point did the bridge break? Was it really Trump, or did it break before, like you said, during Obama? I really.
Or was there? Or did it break sooner?
Oh yes, that was the lead on to that.
Oh,
Thank you, Caden.
no worries.
It's good. No, it's good. Everyone, it's nice to know you're still there. But yeah, that's why I call it a dumpster fire, because that's all it's become. It's the biggest circus, and it bleeds into sports. I watch sports, and man, because I watch all the sports. I'll be afraid of people, so I know that people will murder me on the internet. I'm a Flames fan, I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm a Raptors fan, and a Lakers fan. I'm a Washington Nationals fan, and I watch sports like no tomorrow. And like it bleeds into sports, and it's not even like other countries' politics. It's just South Canada's. It just bleeds everywhere. I mean, 90% of the news on the news shows are about South Canada. And it's like the 5 minutes about my city. And it's like, oh, great. I'm so glad the weather's nice today. How long will that last? An hour? Oh, good job, news company. No, nothing.
News companies.
Ooh, go news companies.
Well,
I'm reading at the same time.
reading.
About D&D stuff.
D&D. Another South Canada company that's now massive. Hasbro.
I heard there's some lawsuit going on pretty recently with them too.
Yeah, I heard about that too, actually.
I
Fuck.
thought that one closed down.
Did it? It was about I heard the whole damn story too. It's like these people that made some story campaign for D&D years ago, and it was about dragons or something.
Dragonlance.
Yeah, and they were supposed to make a new one, and they wrote a book, and they wrote another, and they didn't get compensated for the book they wrote, and they've written the second one, and all they want is money from the first one because they're two poor women or something. It doesn't look good on
Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. That'd be hilarious because they wrote for Dragonlance originally.
That's it. That's it. It's those two women, or if they're women, I'm pretty sure.
Tracy Hickman's actually, I think, Margaret Weiss's husband. I might be incorrect in that, but I'm pretty sure Tracy's a dude.
But yeah, that couple or whatever, those two have not been paid. They were the original ones. They played
an original campaign, and then they wrote a story around it for Wizard.
That is where
Dragonlance came from.
Yes, that is actually it. Because I remember like these two people have been with Wizards of the Coast for a long time, and now Wizards is blaming. Wizards is blaming. What is it? WotC is blaming Hasbro. Hasbro's blaming the publishing company, and the publishing company has all the proof that it was something over in Hasbro or WotC. So they just opened an open lawsuit with the publishing company on WotC and Hasbro to see what's going on.
Oh, this actually just started very recently,
like last week or something.
I was looking it up. Yeah, the article's from the 21st, so about 11 days ago.
Yeah, it was. I did hear a video about it, and because that's. I watch a law channel, and those are always make me happy. Like yesterday, there was or 2 days ago, there was a video by Summoning Salt. Anyone who watches this and never heard of Summoning Salt, you want to watch something for an hour that's going to blow your mind? Any of his videos. He does world record progression videos. If that makes sense, they're like documentaries. If you guys have never seen a video, you need to watch one. They're enthralling.
Maybe one.
Yes. But yeah. So, all honesty, what are your opinions for Tuesday? Who's gonna win?
I really hope the Americans become smart and vote for no confidence.
All right, so that's perfect. There's only three of us actually making a real answer. That's good.
Okay, so
Thank you, John.
I'm hopeful that they vote for not Trump. I'll be honest.
So that's a 1 for Biden.
But knowing how things are going there, they're probably going with Trump again.
I mean, President
I'm hopeful
Kanye
for
for
Biden.
2021.
So we got 1 vote for Biden, 1 vote for Kanye.
Because he'll be keeping it
I
real.
remember The Rock.
One-
Put a shit in there. I would have voted for The Rock.
One spoiled ballot that
Wasn't,
just says
Harambe
I wish Steve Colbert. I wish Steve Colbert ran. That would have been amazing. This time he would have won for sure, too.
I mean, I was looking this up the other day. Someone told me that they already started filing for dismissal of Joe Biden in the Democratic Party for.
Oh, really?
Let's just look that up first. Joe Biden.
Is that how Clinton gets in?
Yeah, she'll be the vice president to Kamala Harris.
She'll kick his ass out, take it over, because you didn't technically have to vote for her then. Terrible. I mean, that's the same thing as if Trump gets voted out and doesn't get the office up.
What? Let's see. NBC News, the most recent one. Joe Biden releases medical assessment.
But the real question is, has Trump released his
I was knew you were gonna say that. He never did. I don't think he ever did. Or did he? It just became so washed under his shit.
Oh, fuck.
all of it was distraction.
Oh, well.
No, I don't see any credence to that. That's too bad. Just another wild rumor. Glad I figured that out. But yeah, no. I mean, Karen Harris. Sorry, I meant Kamala Harris. It's just hard not to call her Karen. I don't know why. Something in my heart just pulls me towards that name. But
Something about managers, maybe?
she has access to the ultimate manager, the president. It depends who you ask. The person who decided to continue on an actual path towards development and, benefiting the humans as cultural fruit to be picked and, cultivated more, I would want Biden to win. The end. And the one that wants to watch the world burn. That kind of really hope Trump wins. Because
Either the one, because they're both terrible people.
Kanye, Andrew.
I mean, he's Also not very good, but I mean he's better than MSY.
Like, I'll be fair. There was something about the taste of watching all those reaction videos the day after Trump won. Like, I know it's such a horrible thing to say, but there was just it was for a troll like me.
I think if I ever had to be like a rather, I'd rather have Trump win, but at the same time, I don't want any.
And the Trumps have it. You heard it here, folks.
You're right. For no confidence, because that's way better.
That will never happen.
I mean,
what about just electing even just
I'm hesitant to say it'll never happen.
You know what? Among
but at the same time,
a skip vote makes the difference between not voting.
No, that's not how democracy works. Unfortunately, not voting means they just have another election because they don't know why no one voted. And if you don't participate in your government has every right to make its own decisions without you. You're participating
though by actively telling them that their voices are
terrible. I know what makes you participate? They have these things called guns. And governments are supposed to secure the people. And if the people are being assholes and not voting, then they're assuming, okay, well then we will just secure them better. So that they don't ever have to vote. You know how many times that's happened in the world? Too many. Choices.
I would die for not voting. Force me to vote for somebody, that's okay.
I wish we were in Australia.
Force me to do other things too, I'm sure, but at the same time...
In Australia, it's like a $500 fine if you don't vote.
I mean, I would still skip vote. That's still a vote. Having a vote of no confidence is
I'm going to look that up. I think I want to see that whole law.
That's what I said. Among Us has showed us the difference between not voting and skipping vote. Because your vote
Among Us is the... God, I hate that game so goddamn much.
No, you must love it, John.
Oh, I fucking hate that game.
To be fair,
it'll be 2 more months. No one will ever talk about it again. It'll be fine.
People started quarantine playing like a happy little animal game where you're just helping animals, right? And now they're playing games where you murder your friends. Yep. And that's the big popular game now.
It's okay. Like I said,
it's
2 months,
and that's the best part.
And no one will ever talk about that game again.
Vote, so it's still counted as a vote. Whereas if you don't vote, your vote isn't counted, regardless if you skip.
Yeah. What he's trying to say is, if you vote to skip the vote, then you still have voted and your voice is inputted. But by not voting, you're not doing anything helpful or useful.
Exactly.
I mean, if that made sense, sure.
It does make sense. What do you mean?
That makes sense to me. Jeremy, does it make sense to you?
Exactly, right?
that's a maybe.
I'm not hearing a no, but I'm also not hearing a yes.
Yeah, exactly. John's clearly...
See, he's not voting, and that's not helpful to the discussion.
That's what we're trying to say. That leaves you as ambiguously not part of the discussion. Right, John.
Which is like not voting.
So, in Australia, if you don't vote, you get a $500 fine. If you spoil the ballot, you get a $500 fine. If you do not fill out the ballot, you get a $500 fine. If you do not do all three, if you decide to miss voting day, you will get a $1,500 fine and a jail sentence of 30 days.
So that means if you want to be...
So if you wanted to be all cool and edgy...
$500 every year just to be like, hey guys, I'm not cool.
It's $1,500 actually, when it comes up.
And 30 days in jail. If you spoil your vote instead of $500.
I'm just saying... You're going to be the badass edgy kid who goes to prison every election year.
You're paying for it.
He's back again. It must be voting time.
That reminds me, you have to go vote.
Make a whole weekend out of it, dude.
Well, it'd be a few weekends.
That's okay.
Yeah, a month. That's a month.
I was gonna say 30 days is a
That's
few
a
more
month.
than a weekend.
Are you sure?
That's okay.
30 days sounds like a weekend.
See, that's why I don't live there.
That depends on what drugs
Well,
you were doing.
you
for that
didn't
weekend.
choose
But
that.
jail, they don't allow that in there.
But I would choose it.
I mean, you don't know
didn't
that.
you didn't get
Those are very,
choose where
very
to be
long
born.
days. No. You can't bring it in with you. So when you get in there, the price will be very high. And I'm pretty sure your ass isn't willing to pay it.
Be surprised.
Those drugs are not worth that.
My ass
Trust-
is willing
trust-
to pay.
The drugs are not worth it.
$1,500 every 4 years, or just put an
Yeah.
X in a box and walk
It's only
away.
500 for this one.
God. God, are my morals worth just putting an X on a box or spending $1,500?
Or am I just like a whore who
Ugh.
just sells myself out to like the closest fucking politician?
Wouldn't that exactly be what you're doing if you go to prison every 4 years? You could
I
just
mean,
be
not
more
really selling
more
yourself
physical
out,
horror
it's just
than
by choice. It's different.
you know.
There's a difference between being a slut and a whore job.
There really isn't.
Whores make money, sluts
There
don't.
really is. Exactly. For an English major, you seem to forget definitions of certain words.
For a person who seems to be so, why would you? I don't understand. Why do you take the path of more resistance?
Because you can.
No, you don't do things just because you can. Because you can go out and fuck that horse doesn't mean you should go fuck that horse.
I mean, that's a pretty poor example.
I'm just saying it's the same thing in my mind.
I'm not really going to want to do that anyway. So you're.
But
right.
if you did, what you're telling
But
me,
I would. My point is, but
what you're telling me is if you wanted to fuck a horse because you had that inkling, you would just
That's
walk
not
out
the
to
same.
someone's barn and go fuck a horse.
That's a very different description. Between
Rather than-
the extent of force you put onto a living creature than the willingness to put a vote on a piece of paper.
I think it's the exact same thing.
I know that's because you don't have the comparison of what an animal feels.
Well, because you don't want to fuck a horse. But if you did want to fuck a horse, what you're telling me is you would not be deterred by anything else, and you would simply go and fuck
I mean, I
that
really
horse.
would be bothered by someone wanting to molest a horse.
Well, you're not molesting it; you're fucking a horse.
I mean, it technically is. Did you get consent from the horse? Did you talk to the horse and ask about it? 'Cause I'm
I
gonna say
mean,
that you probably
the only
just can't
thing-
answer.
I mean, as long as the horse doesn't go nay, I think you're good.
I don't know. What makes you think you're wrong?
You're lucky if that's all it kicks you.
hey!
I mean, you keep
There was-
pretty lucky.
You know,
so.
I'm basing this off a story of a horse that used to be paid to fuck guys, and
I
then one
mean,
day it fucked a guy to
The
death.
horse was paid.
Yeah, the horse was paid.
With what? Money?
Yeah.
Look it up. Look
Here,
it
we'll
up.
Just give you $100 for
This,
fucking laying out our horse.
This award-winning stallion that won the Triple Crown, not the Triple Crown, but like won a couple races at Kentucky Derby.
It just decided to sell itself out. one
No,
day.
the owner would sell out the horse to these gay guys,
Oh.
and eventually
Oh,
killed
the
one of
owner
them.
decided- I wonder why.
Well, God, how
What
dumb
a
do you have
twist.
to be, Andrew, to think the horse did it himself? Jesus.
I mean, this whole example just doesn't seem like a really good like
It shows up the
counter
business
debate
quick first.
to like not voting or like spoiling a vote. In the counter of like sleeping with a horse. This is very much like a very different topic.
I'm pretty sure anyone who would be listening would be able to easily equate fucking a horse to not voting.
I mean, maybe not voting, but skipping the vote is a little different. That was the whole point of what I said to start with. Because your vote is still counted if you skip. And
No, it's not.
Skip, yes, it is.
No, it doesn't.
They physically count the votes.
No,
and they
they
like, oh,
don't.
this one skipped, and they
If
throw it
it's
away.
skipped, they throw it away. That's not
I know.
counted.
But they literally go to the point and say, "Hey, this one was skipped," instead of just.
So
not
you just wasted somebody's 30 seconds.
Exactly.
voting. It's still there.
Here's
No, but you didn't.
there's
They're
the
not
horse
counted.
fucking.
I mean, that's their choice.
Your choices become trash upon the floor, and you had wasted that person's 30 seconds.
I mean,
It's
again,
true.
That's their choice.
Or that horse's.
To my knowledge, if enough people do skip the vote, they do a re.
Yes,
So you're just
here in regular democracy land,
again, that's just a waste of time.
No, here in regular democracy land, Canada, yes, you're right. If everyone skips the vote, it actually has an impact. In America, South Canada, it is completely different. If you skip the vote and no one votes, nothing changes. Whoever remains in, that government gets extended. And then they have another vote either the following year or in 4 years.
Fair enough, but that just sounds to me, if you want to keep the current government, you could also just skip the vote that too.
Yeah, but do you know what a dictator... No.
I'm just saying to that point, that's all.
If you lose confidence in your democracy, it doesn't change your democracy. It only does up here in regular democracy land. Down in South Canada, it's
where it doesn't matter. That means it doesn't. It doesn't matter. This is why I don't like talking about politics. But yes, continue.
I'm just saying you're right here. Like if no one votes in regular democracy land, Canada, it actually has an impact. It actually means that the voting has to be restructured. It also means that if there is no confidence in the people in their government, it means the entire government has to be uprooted. Down in whatever they call dumpster fire land in South Canada, we'll call it dumpster fire politics. In their dumpster fire politics, if no one votes, that pretty much just installs a dictatorship. It means that instead of a failure of the democracy, it's seen as acceptance of the people. And it pretty much can throw basically what you would see as political voting freedom out the door, because you're giving the current government basically free reign to do whatever the fuck they want. Which, when you have a country as powerful as South Canada it can be, or used to be, because it is an empire in decline, doesn't matter. It still has enough power to throw around that it could do some damage.
I mean, that's true, but civil war is also a thing, and there's always people who like.
You're right, but there's never been a civil war. If you look at every civil war in history, except for the South Canadian one, you've never had a civil war where it's always been two armed civilian populations. It's always been the civilians versus the government. It's always been that's the dividing line. Even the South Canadian Civil War back in the 1800s, it was still the leading government and the northern states versus the southern states. If there was a civil war in South Canada, you are talking about almost close to 150, probably closer to 200 million armed civilians. Your military is the fourth largest in the world in terms of personnel. You have the number one military in terms of hardware. You have more hardware than anywhere else in the world. And it doesn't matter. You do not have enough manpower to deal with 200 million armed civilians. And I'm not even talking
because that's an elimination of your own people.
And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if a civil war started, you would have the army and then you would have a militia of probably about 1/3. So you could probably count on close to maybe 90 million, probably 75 to 90 million armed civilians who form a militia on whatever side the army is, because that's how diverse America is. Which means all of a sudden you have what would make the grounds for one of the most brutal guerrilla war conflicts ever put into the planet. That would honestly be more brutal than World War I in terms of guerrilla warfare. And that would be insane. And do you understand having the largest unprotected border with these crazy people? What that would mean for Canada? Like, that would literally tear us apart, because there'd be no why would they respect our boundaries? There's only like 45 million of us. We are literally peanuts compared to.
I would expect a lot of Southern Americans, for the most part, people are interested in guns as it is to begin with.
And there's a lot of guns in Canada. A lot of people
There are.
don't really
More so-
realize that.
More so hunting, but yeah, you're right.
We have a few gun manufacturing plants up here, and we have a lot of long rifles. A lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And crossbows.
Well, Canadians are.
Less crossbows than you'd think. More bows.
Yeah.
Yes, I heard.
I actually know a guy in Innisfil who makes bows for hunters, makes bows and arrows.
Oh yeah.
The only thing we have advantage is we have so much land that we just keep moving north, and we just keep distance. Because
Social distancing will save us.
We pull the Russia defense.
seriously, no, we do.
Yeah.
Canadian Shield, although it doesn't extend to Alberta, is one of the hardest things to walk through, to go through. Literally, it's one of Canada's biggest natural defenses. You can't drive through it, you can't hike through it. And we basically live in it. It's basically solid concrete that creates a huge wall. It's why if you ever look at one of the coolest things about doing foreign policy is if you ever look at the invasion plans for Russia and China and different countries and how they would take over Canada, even the United States, because they actually have to print this. So imagine, so just so you know, every government every year prints a document that tells every other major superpower how if they were to attack them, how they would take over your country.
That's actually kind of cool.
You have to do that. It's just you have to. It's one of the coolest things. So every super nuclear power knows how the other one would invade each other.
I mean, I guess it's a fair way to put it on Eden's ground.
It's kind of cool, but everyone would invade America through going through Canada during the spring into the Hudson Bay and skip all of Canada, go right down to James Bay and make a blitz for Toronto and Ottawa. It's the only way. And if you look at every other version, there is nothing that goes through the West because you have a giant wall called the Rocky Mountains. And then you can't go through Canada because you have a giant wall called the Canadian Shield. And you can't go through East Canada because that's where the Canadian Shield still ends. And you have one of the largest ports and natural defendable harbors in the world in PEI in Newfoundland, or PEI in Halifax. Also, the woods are way too dense in Quebec. They can't put anything through that. So the only way to take control of Canada is blitz Ottawa, which is hilarious because I know any Canadian out west would tell you, yeah, you can take over Ottawa, but we'd fight till our death. But there'd be no point. They would not even engage us.
That's the best part.
Yeah, they literally they wouldn't engage us because we have too much land and too much area to walk. Like, easiest way to beat Canada is take over our centralized government, which is exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I should find those documents. I think I still have copies of them.
I would love to see them.
Oh, they're so hilarious. They're some of the funniest things. Well, I mean, it's not. It's absolutely scary and horrifying that, every year as a person who works in foreign policy in the American government, could you imagine having to see these documents about how they would literally cripple your entire country from Russia, China, and the G7, France.
A way to get your shit together, really.
And when because and this is funny. So there's always tactics in current operation and not utilized. And not utilized is usually this huge list because it means like they haven't done it, right? Current operation, if you ever wonder how like we find out there's Russian subs in the north part of underneath, like in the north part of the islands, like trying to push back, or how we ever found out about stupid stuff like that? Current operations. So when the Russians put nuclear subs in Northern Cap, you're like, oh, you have subs up there, do you? But the best one is it just says espionage. Nothing else. And every single country except I think it was I can't remember which one of the G7, but definitely Russia, China, United States, Britain, and France all says espionage. And it's like, oh, you all spy on each other. At least you're open about it. Yeah, once you get to politics on a macro scale, it gets hilarious. Which is why, bringing this back to dumpster fire, I just explained that to you. Now imagine being the president of, South Canada, and you get handed these documents. Yeah. This is why it feels so surreal to me. Because I know the documents that are going across this asshole's face, and I just wonder what goes on his head. Like,
to me, it would say we need to get our shit together.
But he obviously hasn't. So, and I mean, does he even read them? Because I mean,
I don't think he does.
I mean,
this looks like a lot of words. Throws it away.
At least get an audiobook and like walk around with like an earpiece in so you can hear it. Right?
Can I get these essential documents put onto an audiobook?
Can I get some of the
like Mike Pence's voice?
I was gonna say, what's Morgan Freeman doing?
That's what we really need him for.
That sounds so Trump, though. Oh, I want Morgan
he's
Freeman
the next
to
president.
read.
He's not allowed to see those yet.
I want Morgan Freeman to read these to me.
Oh, that would be so good.
Sir, they're highly classified documents. They're highly
extend their convoy all the way through to the northeast. It's just like by Morgan Freeman, or I don't know what's the other one.
David Attenborough.
David Suzuki.
I like David Attenborough. Then, once the Russians first invade the western port, it's then the Americans will be scrambled to get there. But will they? It depends how organized their leader is.
I mean, let's be honest. Danny DeVito would be the best person to read those.
You know what? He'd read them in a way that Trump would understand.
Yeah. He would. That's the reason why he would be the best.
They land in Boston and we're fucked. You can't lose Boston.
Yes, they don't even fucking see him.
Or Gilbert Godfrey.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking.
As Iago.
Yeah.
As Iago.
What do you say? I don't think you could do a Gilbert Godfrey voice.
Oh man, I just don't understand it. I don't know. Like I said, I both hope and don't hope.
You gotta hope for the best, plan for the worst.
I concur.
You sound real confident.
I mean,
if we vote, it's non-confident, right?
Absolutely.
Not if we all just vote by ripping up our ballots and throwing them in the air. That's our vote. Our vote is for confetti.
But then that vote became like so many other votes, John.
It did. Does each one count individually? I don't know.
I think it does.
That's how it works, obviously.
That's the only way it could work.
I thought I'd get a vote for each letter in my name.
I mean, only when you ask that to the person, then she's like, "Oh, you won the prize. Here you go. You got this many votes," and they write out the total after tallying up how many letters are in your first and last.
When's the last time you actually voted? Then
that's a bingo.
Did you vote in the last Canadian election?
I
Are you asking anyone
I
specific?
did.
I'm asking you, Insaniac. I know everyone else did.
That's a very loaded question, Joe.
Did you vote? I'm not asking who you vote for. I'm just asking, did you vote?
That's a pretty loaded question.
Yeah,
That
not
sounds
really.
like a
we got a
no.
multi-party system here. It's not like
We do.
A and B.
We have A, B, C, D, and F.
That's true. F will never
We
win.
don't talk about E.
Yeah, that's right.
No one talks about E unless we're French. Then one of us would talk about E, but thank God none of us are.
I was gonna say no. My mom did some work for them.
Ugh. You know, I've always said if E wanted to win, they would run in every single province because I know Alberta would vote for them to leave. And everyone laughs at that, but I'm dead serious. You'd have a 100% win in Alberta. Leave, please. We don't want you.
Oh, not that one. The other one.
Oh, I was talking. Which E?
The one that didn't last the election.
The one we aren't talking about because of the incident.
They collapsed.
And that was the incident.
I call E the
Oh yeah.
the people.
The Lego team.
We'll call them the EIEI ooey.
I mean, if you said that in English, that'd be Nova Scotia.
Well, it's pretty close. we'll say it's pretty close.
Well, Andrew, you didn't answer the question.
Yeah, he did. He
hear him.
didn't vote, that heathen. Didn't express
dare
your
you.
democratic right to vote. How dare you?
I have a democratic right to choose, sir.
I have a democratic
You have a
right
democratic right
to choose
vote.
to vote. No, you have a democratic right to choose not to vote when you're in the voting booth and you take your card and you say abstain. That is your right.
Now it makes a difference. Huh?
Yes, it does.
Now
Because
it
then
makes
you can say
Well, it does because we were talking about American politics over Canadian
South
politics,
Canada
right?
is a two-party system. There is no third option.
This system, in America, it's a two-party system. Well, and that's the stupid thing about the 1%. It's like whoever still wins, but that 1% party actually gets like a bunch of money so they can run for the next time.
there's no way they wanted Trump to win.
I just don't know enough about this.
There's no way the 1% wanted
No, it's the
Trump to
American
win.
weird smaller party. Yeah, they're like just starting to introduce it and they're doing it all wrong.
But yeah, you can't even
Our
go into a
multi-party
booth.
system is it makes sense.
I don't have enough knowledge of people.
I could run if I.
That's
really
why you
wanted
just
to.
write
It
abstain. You say I went to the booth and you're like, yeah, I voted. I voted for abstain, and that would make
Yeah, you
sense.
can do that here in Canada, but you
doesn't-
can't do that in the
Abstain
States.
wins.
Yeah, you can literally write
Yeah.
abstain,
He seems pretty chill.
and then you get counted, and then all of a sudden,
That's where you're abstaining from the vote actually matters up
I
here.
also
But
don't know if I would in the general vote for other people in general because I don't know enough about them.
what's cool, Andrew, is if you write abstain enough, eventually when you're like 40, if you participate in like a bunch of elections over time and just write abstain and walk away, eventually you might get called to be part of a focus group where they'll pay you to sit down with a bunch of people who also abstain, and they'll task you like, well, why do you abstain? How do we make it more appealing? And then that's a real thing.
South Canadian politics.
yeah.
That's
a
a real
thing. So much more
I
entertaining.
would be voting for.
Oh, I got invaded. Ah! Fight for your right to be a kitty. But yeah, you can totally do that, and that's a constructive thing.
I have no doubt. I just have. I don't know if I would vote for certain people to begin with because I don't know enough about them. And if I would prefer to put my vote in that regard to begin with.
I get that.
I haven't taken enough of the time to learn about it because I don't really care about politics.
But that's what I mean. So just be active in the political system, and the political system will find ways for you to be active. Amazing.
I know I haven't been active. I'm a lazy person.
You have to try.
Well, now
You
have
online now, Andrew.
Yeah, everything's online now, so now you're losing your argument.
It's
you
not
have no way of arguing this.
It's not an argument. The argument is more so I just I don't care that much to learn, and I don't care about politics in general.
So when the next Canadian election gets called, I will be right there to help you.
Wonderful.
I would come for that road trip.
What? You're gonna? Well, now you're definitely.
I mean,
we're doing a road trip now.
I mean, wait, who can drive? I thought you failed your road test, Caden.
Well, about that, I have another one booked for the 20th.
It's getting really.
Jeremy can drive us.
It's getting really personal.
Oh, it will get personal. We'll have I'll bring my camera and I'll make a voting whole montage.
A voting vlog?
Yeah, about the vlog of teaching you about the candidates. I'll make a PowerPoint.
And then it will be shown here live.
I'll just think of the most boring ways to teach you about politics.
And it'll just make me
be super excited about it.
Still make it further not care and just nothing will be accomplished.
Put the montage to heavy metal so everyone enjoys it.
I'll just get really stoned and fall asleep and just not care. It's yep, that was a good day.
Good day. I'll do it until election day. Gotta get you to the polls.
We have 3 months before we would have to get them in?
Oh God. Canadian elections are only 6 weeks. A month and a half.
Oh, even better.
We're really bad with, I think the longest election period in Canadian history is 86 days or something.
Ah, that's fair then. So we'd have a month and a half to teach Andrew.
Exactly.
Eventually we'll go through.
And then we'll distill it to a 5-minute montage.
All upbeat music.
Still not gonna care.
That would be the best part. That makes the comedy. You have two guys super excited to teach you, and you just look completely dejected the entire time.
Even afterwards, when it's all done.
Yep. So, Andrew, what did you think about voting?
I'm not gonna do it further still.
Did you write abstain, or did you pick your candidate?
I mean, as to quote the great John, I just threw my paper on the ground.
I am great. Thank you. But on that note, rabble South Canadian. Yes, rabble South Canadians. On that note, I think I'm going to stream on Tuesday near the end of the night, especially if things get a little spicy. It might just be 10 minutes of me laughing. I'll stream on Wednesday. But
what time is the whole thing? What time should everything be counted out?
God, I don't know.
Because I work till I close on Tuesday, so I would hop in if I'm if
I'll be on late.
Enough, I'll hop,
oh man, don't worry, it will be late. Last time they didn't call the thing till 3 a.m, so.
Fair enough.
We shall see.
Yeah, I'll probably be on.
You act like I have plans every other day of the week.
And as always, I'm sorry no one else had anything better to do, but I'm glad you were here watching us. This has been Jonathan, the Andrew, the Keaton, and Sir Jeremy with Sarah Vike, who's been mysteriously gone.
Why did you do the outros when you just...
She's been super quiet
so
the whole time. I thought she was here this whole time.
I'm just horrible at outros. Let's just be fair.
You butcher your name. You should be a teacher.
You know what? I hate when people fucking tell me that. God damn.
Good. You should be a teacher, so that way you can mispronounce all of your students' names like you do your friends.
You know,
It would be hilarious.
Maybe if you weren't so passive aggressive, I would consider it.
I'm being pretty aggressive right now.
Hey, John, you should be a teacher.
Should be a teacher.
You know, no. Go fuck yourself.
That way
You can teach English.
tell everyone their names are not what they say it is. God damn it, Balake.
All right, Mr.
Go damn it, Aaron.
I go tell you twice how you say your name wrong.
Says the guy who spells Insaniac
Jake Quellen.
with an IEAC.
Yeah, Jake Quellen. You tell him. Tell him how to say his name.
Hey, stop making fun of real people's names. That's not very nice of
Jake
you.
Quellen, you don't even know Jake Quellen.
You know what? Sometimes I think you just.
Hey, Ron, why don't you lay down the beats?
Boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats. Boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats.
There was the other one was like being cat and something like that.